With so much uncertainty and stress during COVID-19, it's understandable why mental health may be strained. Andrea Hallwagner is a registered dietitian, of course, joins us regularly here on our morning show to talk about diet. And such a huge part to all of our mental health is the diet aspect, Andrea. So thank you for joining us this morning.
Excellent. What we're seeing in our dietitian practice right now is a lot of challenges, not only with physical health, but depression, anxiety, disordered eating, and food's become a little messy, that's for sure, in this period of time.
So explain to us the connection between mental health and food versus if you're constantly consuming fast food and how that may affect how your mind is functioning versus getting proper nutrients.
You bet. So, it's no surprise to me, of course, that what we physically put into our body really has a direct correlation in how our brain operates, right from childhood all the way into adulthood. So, I would say nutrition is as important to your mental health as it is to your physical health for things like heart disease and reducing cancer risk. And that's because a lot of when we think about core ingredients such as carbohydrates, for example, are the core energy source for the brain. And when we feed it good sources of carbohydrate, rich in nutrients, our brain can, operate at a premium sort of level. When we're not feeding it good sources of carbohydrate, for example, too much sugar, too much refined processed foods, our brain doesn't have the same level of stamina energy. And what we know about all those little vitamins and minerals is they really can impact neurotransmitters. And of course, those are the little ingredients that help our nerves in our brain really communicate with other parts of our body. So carbs are important as energy. Carbs, of course, coming from your healthy whole grains, your oatmeals, your quinoas, your brown rices, good wholesome foods. And then we know, of course, protein, really important for the brain because that's the building blocks for those little neurotransmitters. And so protein, of course, in things like your fish, your poultry, your nuts, your seeds, your legumes, really important for your brain to get that protein for just being able to work really effectively.
Is there a deeper dive into when you talk about proteins and carbs, and then we're talking about healthy fats too, because I know you always love to dive into that, but are there specific, you mentioned carbs, are there specific proteins and even healthy fats that we should really be looking for to get certain nutrients that will really activate proper production of the right balance of those neurotransmitters?
Yeah, so we talked about carbs, we talked about some vitamins that are key, and then of course protein for neurotransmitters, and then you mentioned fats, super important. And if we think about our brain is actually 35% made of polyunsaturated fats, and so in essence we are what we eat. And some of the most important polyunsaturated fats are things like your omega-3 fats. And so we think of those things being found primarily in fish fats. If you like fish, they're a fantastic food to have for your brain. If you're not a big fan of fish, of course, there's things like fish oil supplements you can do, hemp hearts, walnuts, canola oil, flax seeds that are ground, also excellent sources of omega-3. But when it comes to the research on reducing depression, looking at brain health, it's really those fish fats that are like premium number one in terms of how we think about impacting the brain in a positive way.
Andrea, as with diet always, there's so much to unpack and you're so fantastic at, but I think also from all the tips you've left with us, sort of a finishing note is the cycle that people really need to recognize that that your anxiety and your depressive feelings can also feed into suddenly affecting how well you have been eating. So it's all about mindful eating. I know you've talked about that as well. Andrea, thank you so much for spending just a little bit of your time with us.
You're welcome. I've got a whole write-up on this topic of nutrition for brain health and depression, anxiety up on my website there. It's up on the screen, healthstandnutrition.com.
It's such a great resource, as are you. Andrea, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.